Good morning. My name is Steve Getterman, and I'm alongside one of Bozeman, Montana's urban trails. I was just filming a little bit of a wetland over here, where perhaps you can hear the red-winged blackbirds and the cattails, the dried cattails left over from last year. So what I would like to do this morning is to highlight one of the most powerful chakra meditations known to man, and yet it's virtually unknown in the Western Hemisphere, which is where I am, although it's still kind of a thing in Europe. It's called dew treading. Okay, I'm trying to show some of we had a light rain in Bozeman, some might call it a drizzle, a light rain in Bozeman yesterday, and so I expected that there would be a nice amount of dew today. But here we are in the middle of May, and at 4,800 feet in the middle of May, especially when we had a relatively clear night last night, we should have frost. But we do not. We just have a little bit of dew and a few red-winged blackbirds. So what I'm trying to say, excuse me, without going down this too deeply, is that not only are species being threatened by climate change and human activity, but also some vital natural processes. In this case, the formation of frost. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that frost is a soil building mechanism, a process, that as water goes into the soil and then begins to rise up, evaporate, it actually forms, well, it excuse me, it uplifts the soil, kind of like recreating its crystalline structure. There goes a nice red-winged blackbird. Reducing compaction and allowing the roots of plants to penetrate better. So without cold, without frost, that soil uplift doesn't happen and impedes what I'm going to talk about next, and that is the uptake of roots, plants, of some of the vital micronutrients. Now, the micronutrients and even the electropotential of micronutrients is available to us in that little drop of dew at the tip of especially grasses, native grasses. And so by doing this process, which is known as dew treading, I want you to see that I actually am barefoot. I really am a two-legged, walking along on this dew in order to absorb these micronutrients through my feet into my body as I stroll. Now, the other part of this, and my camera is not going to be able to capture it, but when you are in a dew or frost-covered area, and I'm moving a little bit now to balance my chakras, what happens is that you can see a lot of these little orbs of dew reflecting all the colors of the rainbow, a really iridescent colors. Like I'm looking at one right now, and as I rock slightly back and forth, I get that really vibrant, orange and then green, and it kind of goes to an aquamarine green. And balancing my chakras that require those different types of potentials, shall we say, like blue, for example, for the thyroid, my volitional center, so that I can express myself. So we have two things here, and that's what I want to mention, is that strolling through a frost-covered or dew-covered area barefoot, you can absorb these micronutrients and then also balance your chakras by rocking back and forth, looking at the dew and pulling that light into the eyes, into the body, and balancing your mental, emotional, physical, and even spiritual state that way. So, a couple words of caution: you don't want to do this, on a golf course or any area that has had a lot of chemical fertilizers. In a place like Bozeman, Montana, where there are probably 2.5 dogs to every person, you got to make sure you don't step on that doggy dew. I don't think it has the micronutrient potential that this dew does. So, keep in mind that this is something that can be done easily, and for those of you who are of the shamanic persuasion, if you combine this even with the Pachamama renewal process, I'm telling you, you're going to feel like one of the ascended masters, And if you don't become one, you can maybe at least communicate with them a little bit better. Alright, so these red-winged blackbirds are still able to do what they're doing, staking out circular areas for the nest. I don't think the females are back yet. I think this is when the males are still jockeying for position, and then the females will come back and say, okay, which one of you bad boys has the best spot, which is normally toward the center of the nesting areas, in this case the wetlands. I'm going to let it go with that. I hope this gives you a little bit of something, and enjoy yourself. Look for that dew, look for that frost.